This is Brad from Argali, and I have our Skyline Ti stove here in front of me. This is our titanium wood stove that can work with any of our tents to create a hot tent. I want to give you a rundown of some of the features of this stove and why we chose this design. So the first thing I want to talk about is why we chose a box design. A box style design has a few different uses that I think are advantageous over a cylinder style design. The main one being that you can use the top of the stove to heat up water or to cook on if you want to. So for late season backpack hunts, personally, I don't even take a fuel canister style stove, and I just use a titanium cup and set it on top of here, build a fire, and that's how I heat up water for my dehydrated meals. And then if you want to cook on it, you can cook on this. So box style design, a little bit more versatility in terms of how you can use it when you're in the backcountry. One of the biggest design changes that we made over some of the other options out there are the leg configuration, which allowed us to cut a bunch of weight from our stove. So at a 15-inch stove length, you're 9 inches tall, 8.5 inches wide, a fairly generous volume for a titanium wood stove. But this is only just a hair over 2 pounds, at 2 pounds, 4 ounces for everything, including the stovepipe connector piece. And then you're about 2 ounces per foot for your stovepipe, just if you're trying to figure out total weight. But we got rid of, the way our panels connect together, there are no steel all threads running through our stove. There are some titanium L brackets that these wing nuts thread into on the top and bottom of the stove. And then we have integrated legs that fold under the stove here that pop out to hold the stove up. And by doing that, by eliminating those steel components, we're able to save quite a bit of weight on our stove here. So other than that, one of the things we did is also we provided some stamping, I don't know if that shows up or not, to these long panels on the side here, because one of the things that happens with titanium when you heat it up, especially repeatedly over time, as this metal gets red hot, it tends to want to deform a little bit, and the stamping provides some structural rigidity to help reduce the amount of deformation that you're going to get with titanium. A couple other features, and I should mention that this is a prototype stove, so there's a couple things that aren't on this that are on the actual stove, which is there's some thin gauge wire here to help with the air intake flue on the front, and then there's a thin gauge wire that connects to the door here. It just helps you open and close the door without burning yourself. So you have an air intake on the front here, you have a sliding door on the front, and then you have our chimney connector piece that sits right here. You have another credit card style dampener here, and then you have an integrated spark arrestor that is built into the stovepipe connector piece. There are 2 tabs that come out on the side right here, and this is where your stovepipe will rest when you have the stove in use. Now the Skyline also comes with our carrying case right here. You have a separate piece for your chimney, so your chimney and your stovepipe connector can fit in here, and then the stove fits in this carrying case, which has an integrated zipper for all your wing nuts, and your stovepipe rings can fit right in here, which is just a handy place to keep them so you don't lose them. It's also kind of handy for backpacking if you're wanting to split up these 2 products. One person can carry the stovepipe, another can carry the stove. If you're carrying all of it, just kind of helps you pack things a little bit more efficiently. So that is our Skyline Ti wood stove. You can find it on our website at argalioutdoors.com.